so excited that today I get to talk to Samantha Lomuscio and George Hernandez, the authors and illustrators of the Curious Characters of Collinwood series. Come on, let's head on down to the back room at the Blue Whale.
There we go. Awesome. Well, welcome to both of you, and I'm so happy that you could join me. And I'm so happy that this is your meeting here, that you're actually kind of meeting each other face to face here with me here in the back room at the Blue Whale. So that's very exciting. And yeah, I love the books. I got so excited when I saw that they were coming out. Because as we were just talking a minute ago, George, I love Edward Gorey. I mean, if I were ever to be lucky enough to have a child, I would do my nursery in Edward Gorey and Charles Addams. I think that would be the nursery, the dream nursery there. Forget Pink Bunny Rabbit. I mean,
unless they come with vampire teeth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm so excited to have you guys here. And I love the two that I've gotten so far, which is the Curious Characters of 1795 and the Curious Characters of 1897. And these are they're phenomenal. They're so well done. You know exactly who the characters are. They look like who they're supposed to be. The poem work precisely with whatever is going on. I mean, it's wonderful. And how did this start? Where did you come up with this?
Well, I've been a lifelong fan of Dark Shadows, and there is nobody around that I can discuss wouldn't call it an obsession, but my number one fan. I'm a fan of this series. And so there's nobody, some people will say, oh, yes, I remember that show, but they're not like a true fan like they are of other shows, Bridgerton, Star Trek, whatever it is. But, and so I've always loved it, and I've always dabbled in drawing. And so when I joined the Dark Shadows Appreciation Society on Facebook, I started doing drawings. And then on my own Facebook, I would have Christmas pictures, and then I would take Christmas carols and put my own lyrics to them, like little parodies of them. And so I started doing that, thinking of songs with Dark Shadows and with the characters, and putting my own words, like instead of Venus, I would have Angelique, she's wicked. Whoa, she's wicked. That's Angelique. She's a devil, don't you? I would just make, and people reading the poetry would get, oh, that sounds, I guess that song right away. And, so I had some fun like that with the pictures. And then out of the blue, Samantha contacted me and said, oh, we ought to do something together. There's something we can do with that, And so I listened to her suggestions, and it was fun, So, and it was really cute. I remember one message of one mother saying, "Oh, my daughter just loves these drawings. Can we send some photocopies of them so that we can color them? She would love to color them." I thought that was so sweet. But I was just doing it for the fun of it. And when Samantha suggested this, it was like, oh my God, I've been a collector of Dark Shadows memorabilia all my life. And so it's like to actually contribute something to the Dark Shadows fandom, and it's like, oh my gosh. And so when the books came out, I was just over the moon. I said, I've made my contribution to other people who may love Dark Shadows as much as I do. And believe me, there are people out there that are above and beyond where I'm at, where I thought I may be a little cuckoo, but evidently I'm not. I haven't seen real cuckoo yet. So it's like, but yeah, it's yeah, that's where it came. And then and in fact, the first book that we did was The Curious Character of Collinwood. And it's from, the present 1966, 1971. And a lot of the poetry in there are kind of like based on songs. So it's kind of, I don't know if that's copyrighted. And so I've written a lot of the poems so that they're more in the vein of the what we're coming out with now. So because that was the first one in it. And so, yeah, that'll probably be reissued and redone, but
Yeah.
because Samantha has just done a superior job. I mean, I just send the pen and ink drawings to her, and she just works her magic. And so, she's an artist in her own, and so it's so wonderful to be working with another artist who, and she'll send me, here's what I did. What do you think? And it's like, I get so excited. It's just fabulous, and the conversations we have back and forth, and we work really well together. We work really well together.
Actually, George, you helped me with my first books. You remember back before we met before the coloring book started, and I'm still kind of fresh to the fandom, and you were my go-to of like, which scene should we do for the coloring book? And then you had your Pinterest has every photo screenshot that you could use, and you were a real big help in that in the coloring book. And then when it came time for the paper dolls, we had a lot of back and forth of like, well, which dress should we do? Should we do the blue one or the green one? The blue one or the green one? Like, okay, let's do this one. And then again, he knew exactly which episode or how could I find it? Where's this person wearing this one? And so George helped me a lot with that.
Yes. I was first what fascinated with Samantha's. She had these little, she would post these pictures of the costumes from 1897. At that time, she was really enamored with the 1897 costumes of the female characters. And I just love looking at the photos and the way she would put them and the details she would get on the dresses. And then, and she brought to my attention the one time of Roxanne and Angelique wearing the same dress, and it was really, I had never noticed that before. I said, how can I be a lifelong fan and I've never noticed that before? And then Amanda Harris and Angelique wearing the same dress. It's like, what? And it was just fascinating. And the reason why in my Pinterest I have so many photos of Dark Shadows is because I'm from another time, and where between when the show ended and it was released on reruns, I had to, there was no internet. You just had to find photos in magazines or whatever. And I started a scrapbook. And so when the internet came along, 20, 30 years later, and all of a sudden you have access to all these colored pictures, it's like, I don't need to have a scrapbook anymore. I could just have it on Pinterest, of all the time periods. And I just absolutely just love it, And so, for the past 35 years, I've been chasing Dark Shadows memorabilia from the first Dark Shadows convention to the subsequent ones here on the West Coast. And, I completed my bubblegum set, completed my Dark Shadows comic books, and all that other stuff. And so it's been a wonderful, and then haunting paperback, old bookstores for the paperbacks, all 32. And, I find the last one I could not get was the Vampire Beauty, which was rare. That was just rare. And I was finally, thank goodness for Amazon, I was finally able to buy one. It was like $100, but it's like, I gotta have that prize. And then of course they're all now for like $20 or whatever it is, for Hermes Press and so it's just been exciting. And yes, it's just wonderful. I mean, the internet of what you can find and the photos, it's just lovely. And the fact that Samantha is, I came to Dark Shadows because I saw the Tim Burton movie and here I am. I said, it's like, and she knows so much about the show in such a short time, I mean, it's, so yeah, it's been a wonderful ride.
Yeah, and we still got much more to go. We're still churning. He's still churning them out. That one that he showed you, the first book,
Mm-hmm.
that was really just for us.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
didn't
it
know.
was.
I've been looking. Like, it took me years to figure out how do we do this? How do we publish it? And I talked to Jim Pearson about it, but he wasn't too. He was too busy. He's working on all these other projects, and so this past Christmas, I'm like, you know what? That's it. We're just gonna put these on Amazon and self publish them. I finally figured out how to do it, and so the first two are out. The third one behind me, 1840, 1841. This will be out by September. It's gonna be.
Yeah.
We're still working on it, or I'm still working on it. George has moved on. He's working on Parallel Time right now. Actually, I think we're done with Parallel
I
Time.
think we're done with Parallel Time.
Well, it's
We're
written
still
and drawn.
figuring out about the 1995 and where we're going to stick that type of thing. I think you decided, but
I was gonna put 1995 with Parallel Time, but then the guys on Resident of Collinwood said no, it's separate, and I'm like,
it's really part of the 1970 Gerard and Daphne
Yeah.
Ghost.
true.
Now, if you did something with that, where you did that whole kind of haunting storyline with Gerard and Daphne, and then put 1995 in there, and then
Right.
maybe end with that trip back to 1840 or something. I mean, that could work.
Yeah, yeah. And because, the 1966 to 1971 just covers a whole slew of storylines from Victoria arriving, Matthew Morgan, and, the night that when she comes back from Parallel Time, and Laura, and 1968, and Adam and Eve, and the whole shebang.
Yeah.
And the haunting with Quentin. It's like a whole bunch happened, you know. Yeah, so then do the Gerard one there. So it's
I think once we tackle Parallel Time, we'll look and see what we have,
mm-hmm,
and see maybe we'll do like the early years, make that a separate book, like maybe up until like right before 1795 or right. I just
yeah, it's
we'll see. It'll be there. It's just we have
and
time.
there
We have
there
lot
was a
to do.
period where I was getting a little bit off track, and Samantha corrected me, where I was doing poems about different plot twists and things that were going on at a different. And then she says, we need to get back to talking about the characters. We want to do a poem about the characters. And so, oh, yes, that's right. That's right. So forget that plot twist. I'll go back to the characters. And so once you do that, okay, I already did one on Jason. I'm sorry. Jason McGuire? It's like, how many more can I do on Jason? We already know what a snake he is, and like, well, there's when he did this and he did that and he did this, and Willie too, and Julia, it's like, yeah, you can only talk about the personality once, a poem about them, they're not changing, except perhaps Angelique, she goes back and forth,
Right.
but yeah. So once you hit those characters, well, Nicholas did this and Nicholas did that and Nicholas did that. I said, yes, I would love to do 4 poems about how, what he was up to now. But you only need 1 poem about Nicholas to tell what he's like, so.
Well, I was thinking, George, there's always calendars.
Yeah.
We only need 12 for that one.
Oh, that is clever. See how clever she is?
We'll
I could
figure it
definitely.
out.
I think that would be a great idea. I know a lot of people who would snap those up. I'm one of those people that I always forget to buy myself a calendar. The calendar I would definitely buy for myself.
Yeah. The Dark Shadows festivals every festival I went to, they used to publish a calendar for that year that would have rare photos from Dark Shadows behind the scenes that were, I guess, Catherine Lee Scott would give them, and the other, archives. And those were always wonderful. Yeah, I would snatch those up.
I've got a few of them from several of them. I've got a few of them. And then I've got a few that my friend Bob made because we were doing trips to Seaview. And so
Oh.
and they would put out calendars of like, the group photos and, the different events that we would do there in the house. And so I've got some of those, and
Oh
that was
my.
wonderful. One of the coolest experiences I ever had was during the screening of the Tim Burton film at the Vista Theater. We all went. There's a huge the Dark Shadows fans. We all went, and I actually was sitting next to Cy Tomashoff,
Oh my.
and we started
Wow.
out, like the Seaview Terrace and the house, and what rooms inspired what. And I had pictures on my phone from when I had been to Seaview, and looking on my phone at pictures with Cy Tomashoff, and he's going, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, this inspired that, and the woodwork in here, and blah blah blah. And I mean, that was like one of the coolest things,
Mhm.
And it's just you never know who you're going to meet in this fandom. You meet some incredible people, and you make lifelong friendships, and it's
Mhm.
those amazing things that it brings you together, that the rest of the world goes like, what the hell is Dark Shadows? What is this?
I know, right? I'm like, I gotta tell my friends or my coworkers, like, oh yeah, I'm going to the Dark Shadows convention, and they're like, what? I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many people that, if I say, well, I'm going to this Dark Shadows event, or I went to this one 2 years ago, and they think it's either what we do in the shadows,
Right.
or what was the other one? Something else. And you have to correct them. And it's like, no, it's not that. It's this. Or they think it's, about the Tim Burton movie. And, oh, is Johnny Depp going to be there? No, but
Mhm.
Scott's going to be there. Who? So then you have to explain everything. But I think when you find your people, it's so exciting, because I remember the first time I went to my first Dark Shadows convention, and I found my people, and it's like, they know what I'm talking about. They understand me. They don't look at me like I'm speaking a foreign language,
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that's the best feeling. So I love stories about people coming together in fandom, that, realizing, hey, you're just like me. Hey, you speak my language. We get along great together. So I love that. So I think that is so cool that you guys, number one, found each other, and number two, that you're putting out such amazing stuff. I mean, this is really, really cool. I was showing a friend of mine who was on here the other day, and I said, have you seen these books? I just got so excited. But I mean, really, they're fabulous. And I mean, there's so many pages in here that I look at it and go, I could see that on a t-shirt. I would wear that t-shirt. Like,
Well, there
there's
is merchandise. There are T-shirts available on Redbubble.
uh-huh.
The link is in our Instagram. I can send you the link, and I'll advertise it some more. And
Yeah.
if there's a picture you really like in the book, let me know, and I will put that on a T-shirt, and you guys can.
Just like, I love this one where Jameson is possessed by Count Patofi, and just the composition of the shot and
Okay,
the colors, and it's just like, that's a t-shirt. That's a really
I will put that
t-shirt.
on a T-shirt. Let me write that down.
I will submit to her drawings that I've done, and then she'll send back to me what she's done with it.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, that's my new favorite one. I love this one. And it's like, I want this, and it's like, I drew it, for heaven's sakes, but she just enhances it to the ends of the earth. And it is just gorgeous, and sometimes she'll ask, well, should I do this with it or that with it? Which looks best? And it's like, that there's no mistake. I says, my goodness, and she does things with her computer that I can't do artistically, because I'm only using pen and ink, and it's just amazing, and I'm just so excited whenever I see what her latest thing that she's done, and it's just wonderful, wonderful.
Because I mean, these are incredible, because I mean, I have no idea how many components went into, each of the pictures, but I
Mhm.
just look at them, and they're so beautifully detailed, the way that they're shaded, the way that they're colored, the placement of the characters. I mean, it's
Yes.
wonderful, because I mean, you've got this brilliant artwork that, I mean, looks exactly like the characters. You know exactly who they are. And then you look, and it's like, they have, the Afghan. I mean, look at that. You know, I mean, that's incredible. And the fireplace and the wallpaper and you know, Barnabas in silhouette. I mean, that is just perfect. Just
Hmm.
that to look at that as a whole and be like, wow, you know, fabulous stuff.
And that's one thing about that book. It's made for fans. If anyone had just picked it up, it's like, what the heck is this? You know, you'd have to, hopefully it would inspire you to go check out this TV series and, you know, see what it's all about.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's for someone who's a fan, it's like, yes, you should recognize this and where this is at, where this happens. And so, yeah, I thought that was kind of fun, you know.
That's wonderful. Now, are you going to have these two books at the event, or are you going to have more? I know you're going to have the paper dolls, Samantha, at the event coming up.
Yes, because let me tell you the story.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, Hermes Press couldn't pay me for the books because there was a misprint.
Mhm.
You know, they left out Quentin.
Mhm.
So instead of paying me, they gave me books. So I have the books. Jim Pearson has the Quentin pages. And so I have like 50 books that I'm bringing of just the paper dolls. So if you guys haven't got the paper doll book yet, don't buy it until you buy it from me. Actually, I'm giving them to Jim Pearson's table because
Mhm.
I don't know how to I scan people's credit cards or whatever it is.
Mhm.
I want to meet I want to meet the actors. I don't want to be selling stuff. So I'm gonna get there early. I'm gonna bring in the books, make sure they're all perfect, and settle up at the end of the day. So that's it.
I think what I love is she made these little stickers of the characters, and she says, "Oh, you know, I'll have these little stickers that'll advertise our books and give the website where they can order
Oh
it
yeah.
from." And I took a look at the stickers. I said, the stickers. I said, for heaven's sakes! I said, I want a sticker to put on me. I said, I want a whole collection of these stickers. They are just too darn cute.
Wow.
And it's like, I drew this. I says, George, you can draw these characters anytime you want and put them anywhere, you know.
Oh,
But
I
it's like,
know you
but
can.
no, look at these. Look at how cute they are. It's
These are
like,
the stickers. I believe this is what I'm gonna go with. There's gonna be 500 stickers.
Oh boy.
I'm sure we'll have enough. I think there's gonna be like 400 people. I don't know. But I did make these for George to hand out to the actors. Each actor is going to get their own ooh,
Wow.
little thing. Wait, let me see. Let me do it this way. I have to turn the background off. Okay. So yeah, that one would be for
Oh.
Donna.
or
Donna Wandry gets hers, and then I'm cutting out. Whoop. Can you even see? There we go. I'm making a folder for each actor with their doll.
Oh, cool.
And I made a little sticker that said their name. And then I'm going to show them, like, oh, look, this is how you do it. Wait, whoop,
Mhm.
get the hat. I've been cutting these out. My hand's a little cramped, but you got to do it, man.
Mhm.
So, yeah, you see us? Grab a sticker. Been very busy. I'm excited. Got a lot. I still got a lot to do. I got a few more to cut. There is rumors that one of the other actors might be there. I'm not going to say who because I don't want to give anybody's hopes up. But I'm like, oh man, okay, that means one more doll I have to cut out. What else? I have to make something else too for my costume. I don't know where I put it. But yeah, I need to make a prop. So I'm going to be crafting all weekend and cutting. We got what, a few more weeks to go?
3 weeks, about 3 weeks. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. It's so exciting.
Yep.
Now,
Yeah.
have you
And you
met?
know, due to the internet and Facebook, there are, when I used to go to the past festivals in the past, I was only there to hit the merchandise room and to buy complete my collection, and then see a couple of videos, and then basically I would leave about noon, so I was only there to shop because I didn't know anybody, and it's like everybody seemed to know other people, and and I was there to get autographs and see some of the presentations and some of the stars, but now it's like, okay, I know who these names are from the Facebook, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of these, and Laramie Dean is one that I've he loves the books, and it's like, he is so sweet. I said, you're a real author, and it's just all these people that I'm looking forward to seeing. It's like, I'll actually know people here, and that's good. That's a first for me, and that seems really exciting, Yeah.
I kind of
Introduce
I kind of
people.
wish people will wear name tags or something, so they'll be like, "Oh, that's like your user handle or whatever."
I think they do give you name tags to make
Yeah,
sure that you're in the right place, Dark Shadows Festival, in your
it
name.
used to anyway, the Dark Shadows Festival, and then a lot of us would just kind of write in our names or
Mhm.
at
There
handle.
wasn't any at the last one, but I'm gonna make a sticker like this for myself, but it had like Samantha Lomuscio. That's her. That's me, and I can make you one too, George. Do you want?
Very cool. Yeah, my friend Bobby that's coming. I told him, I said, I'm going to introduce you to so many people because I've been going since 2004,
Mhm.
Wow.
the event. So I know quite a few people. I don't know everybody, but I know quite a few of them. So I'm going to have to take you around too, George, and I'm going to have to introduce you to people.
Yes, yes, yes. I went to the very first one. I think it was called the Dark Shadows and Science Fiction or Convention or something like that. It was combined with that, and it was held near the airport, I believe, the LAX. And Kathleen Resch and Marcy Robin, I think, were the ones behind it. And they broke after the first year. They said, no, this isn't going to work. There was too much science fiction, and we're not part of that. We want our own. And so after that, it became, the Dark Shadows Convention. And like I said, when I started watching Dark Shadows, I came in during the last 4 months, and then it went on because I was like, look, I want to see a vampire. Where's the vampire? I've heard about a vampire, and I'm looking on, and it's Bramwell, and it's like, oh, it was like, where's the vampire? I'm waiting for the vampire, but in the meantime, I got caught up in the story, and I was just riveted. What's going to happen next? Oh, what's going to happen next? When you're a 12-year-old kid, you're not very sophisticated, and I was quite naive. And so when the series ended, it's like, it left me cold and high and dry. And I was like, what? And Kathleen Resch's concordances, filled me in, and I love to read. So to read the whole storyline of 1897, and as she published them, because there were no videos, there were nothing to watch the show, no reruns or anything. That wasn't until the mid 80s or so that, and all I had were the paperback books to get my idea of what what Barnabas was really like, and the comic books and so all that, this is what was my Dark Shadows. And so when the reruns finally came out in VHS in the 80s or 90s, I guess it was, and I was able to watch the show, I also had the Viewmaster. I remember going on my 10-speed bike to Sears to buy the Viewmaster, thing, and that's where you saw the lushness photos of the sets. It was just gorgeous, Then So I just fell in love with the costuming, the writing. I mean, they really had the best for a daytime soap opera that had plastic cardboard sets and everything. And Cy just took it to a whole nother level. Yes, he had a limited budget, but boy, did he take it to a whole nother level, And so that show had everything. The best lighting, the best music, and of course, thank goodness it's a soap opera, so they're all gorgeous, handsome, and pretty, And
Right?
so it was, yeah. What more did you ask for? It was like, it was genius. Women there and kids, it was just absolutely genius. And so And so, yeah, that's what I loved about the conventions, was just seeing, the stars and hearing them talk about it. It was really quite fascinating.
Well,
What's your favorite episode? What are your favorite episodes of this show?
My favorite apples, there's I think the one scene where Jonathan Frid in 1966, when after he's appeared, and he's in the Collinwood drawing room with Vicky and Carolyn, and he's looking out the window and he's telling them the story of how Josette jumped from the cliff, and how it's a soliloquy where he's getting every line correct and the emotion, and he's talking about how her lover came close to her and she jumped from it, and you could tell how moved he is, and then he comes back to the present. I think that's one of my favorite scenes. It's really, really good dramatic acting in that one. And that's probably my favorite. But when I started watching Dark Shadows, I said it was during the 1841 parallel time, and so I love Bramwell, and I love Laura Parker as Catherine, and I thought, oh, she's wonderful. Then when I learned that she's the witch, and it's like, no, no, she's not a witch, she's a good girl, and so I had to learn how to like her all over again. And then the Viewmaster was another, the story booklet that told about the 1968 storyline, the Adam storyline, and Angelique the vampire and going to hell. Oh, I love that one, when Angelique goes to hell to see Diabolos. The set is just another. It is just. And then another scene I just saw the other day was when Maggie goes to visit Nicholas. She doesn't know why she's there. And then she suddenly, the room darkens and she collapses on the couch and opens her mouth, and Diablo starts talking with her mouth open. And her acting in that is so good. It's like, how on earth do here's your direction. You're going to walk and you're going to be possessed by by a demon. And so you have to crawl and, rid your body. And it's just a fascinating episode, and Nicholas just, all the color draining from his face, knowing, you have to come and answer to me, and so that's another, I forgot how good that scene was, but yeah, I thought it was clever, for the Frankenstein, they did the Adam and Eve, it's like, oh, how more original can you get for a Frankenstein monster? Call it Adam and Eve, and so I just love that storyline of now, from the Viewmaster, the storyline, it sounded wonderful. And then when I actually saw it, everybody's tripping over their lines and what have you. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like, but that was the way it was back then. They only took one tape. It was one take, it was live theater. So that's the way it is. And when you have to learn a script overnight, a new script, and have it, memorized, and then you have to remember the blocking the next day, and good Lord, I feel sorry for those poor actors. No wonder they always look so terrified. It's so yeah, you just gotta love it. And I don't like it when people, we'd go to the convention, they would always put a reminder. If you're watching the videos of the, whatever episodes we're showing, no laughing or chuckling or jokes made about what you're watching are to be said. People are watching to enjoy this, and it's like, thank you. I don't like people, my husband doesn't. He knows I like Dark Shadows, but he loves to make fun of Grayson Hall. Oh, Barnabas, he just loves, and it's like, you love the Beatles. You don't see me mocking the Beatles. Will you please show a little bit of respect? Only if you're a fan can you make fun of Dark Shadows or make light of, because the things would happen, but we do it in a loving way. It's like, I don't want people to, and so that really irks me about Dark Shadows. That'll trigger me.
And what are your favorite episodes, Samantha?
I think when Vicky went back into 1795, that had me hooked. I was like, oh, this is it. Because I'm not really of a soap opera person, but you got time traveling, you got costumes, you got gorgeous people. damsels in distress. I was hooked.
Mhm.
And the whole thing, and Peter Bradford was, when she comes back, and then Peter Bradford's in the street, and we're like, oh my God, they brought him back. And they're just like, this is the best thing ever. So, yeah, that was the one that got me. And then, of course, 1897 is my favorite for the period.
I love.
My favorite story period of throughout any TV show or movie.
Mhm.
That turn of the century. Yeah, that's my favorite.
What are some of your favorite costumes?
Angelique's vampire white flowy
Mm-hmm.
dress, of course. Everything that Catherine Lee Scott wore in 1897 as both characters.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I think, and then I really do like Roxanne's flowy, purpley shroud. Anything
Mm-hmm.
flowy like that, it's just like, where do I sign up? Where do I get my shroud? And then Eve in her black, sexy thing too. It's
Mm-hmm.
I that's the thing with the paper dolls. Like I've always been obsessed with fashion. I found old drawings I made like in junior high of I would watch old movies and I had a stencil of a figure and I would draw all the costumes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, oh, no kidding. No wonder this is something I should do. Because I wasn't even planning on doing the paper dolls. Jim Pearson asked me to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, are you sure? I've never really done it. And I became very obsessed with making sure everything was perfect. Every detail, every texture, every stitch. So, yeah. And then when I work on George's drawings and like, it's so hard for me to fight not making them so detailed and perfect. Like, no, it's just a cartoon. You have to simplify. Keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid. So,
And I know she's attentive to the costume, so I try to keep an actual costumes that they were wearing, that a character in them, and not to repeat the same costume, but something else that they were wearing in the series. You know, it's.
I did have to go back for 1840. You had Gabriel wearing boots in one drawing, and then he was wearing just regular shoes in another drawing. I'm like, which one is it? Boots or shoes? Boots or shoes? He's in a wheelchair.
Right.
He shouldn't be wearing boots. But he was wearing boots. I went back and I double
Yeah,
checked.
in 1841, he wears boots, but in 1840, when he's in the wheelchair, it's hard to see what he has on his feet because it's always under a blanket, or you
Right.
can't see his feet when he's sitting down. You're just concentrating, the camera just works on the upper area of him.
Yeah.
And so, except when he's walking around at the end, I wasn't quite sure. I think he was just wearing regular
Boots. It was
long
boots.
pants. Was it boots?
I had to rewatch it really carefully when he
Uh-huh.
Edith, and I was like, the minute he stands up and his blanket falls on, I'm like, boots. So
Okay. Okay. Yes, I
a little
wasn't quite
tight.
sure of that. I mean, because Quentin in 1840 doesn't wear boots. He's wearing long trousers, I believe. Both him and Desmond. I think the only one that's wearing. Okay, go back and forth. In 1841, too, Morgan doesn't wear boots. And I think it's just Gabriel who wears a lot of boots. And so does Gerard. Gerard never wears
Has
slacks.
boots
He's
the
always
whole
wearing
time.
boots.
Gerard has boots the whole time.
Yes.
Because his paper doll has boots.
Right. But that's what kind of fans we are, nitpicky. We want to be accurate, you know.
I noticed. I've taken screenshots. 3 of the ladies in 1897 wore the same damn earrings. I was like, how did she get those earrings?
That's another one I couldn't believe that you had noticed. I said, who on earth ever pays attention to
There's a
earrings, for
close-up
heaven's
and
sake?
there's something dangling. You're going to see it.
Now, I've heard of jokes about Angelique always wearing hoop earrings. She's wearing hoop earrings as when she's in 1795, and I believe when she's Cassandra and when she's a vampire. She loves these golden hoop earrings. I haven't double checked that, but she seems to Yes, but she has her long hair all the time,
Yeah,
but
I don't really remember her wearing a lot of earrings. It was Julia and um, Liz.
Joan.
Yeah, Julia and Liz. And then oh, and they Pansy Faye. The
Mm.
three of them. First they were Pansy Faye's, and then they were Julia's, and then Liz found him, and she's like, "I'll take these."
Now, do you do like cosplay, Samantha? Do you make costumes and do like cosplays?
I do. I'm not much of a sewer. I'm more of a thrifter. I'll
Mm.
find the pieces and I'll put them together, and it's always old Hollywood type things like Baby Jane Hudson. I made like I found a ruffly shirt and I sewed more lace on it, or I sewed a belt. That's the extent of my cosplay. And then of course the makeup is all. It's all about the makeup. I'll do extreme makeup, and of course you have to sing and act and talk like them. But so yeah, so for this festival, I'm gonna be Jenny.
Yay!
I haven't practiced the hair, but I think I can do it. I mean, I have.
Oh, your hair is almost the right color too.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was almost
yep,
gonna do a
it's
wig, but it's like it's gonna be 100 degrees and it's gonna be
mm-hmm.
awful. Um, I'm probably gonna practice it this weekend because it's
Oh
really
my God,
fun.
you'd have to tease your hair and hairspray it, and won't that damage your hair afterwards? Can you get it back to normal?
I'm not worried about it. But yeah, it's just. But yeah, it's just a big pile, and then like there's just a lot of curls all around her face.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So if you
Oh
see
yeah.
somebody walking around the convention like this, that's me.
Well, I'm planning on bringing a little curling iron because I'm planning to get a haircut, and I got like a really small curling iron because I'm gonna get it kind of short, and I thought, oh, okay, well, I can put some curl in it. So I should have a little curling iron if you need some like nice tight curls.
I was thinking I was gonna bring one. Are you staying in the hotel or are you?
Yeah, I'm gonna be at the hotel. I'm coming in on Thursday, and I'll be there till Monday.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'll have all my makeup with me too, so I can help you with your makeup if you want.
Yeah, I was gonna buy a little wagon, like a
Mhm.
collapsible wagon, because I don't know how I'm gonna carry 50 books. But
Mhm.
then also put hairspray, water, makeup, probably a change of clothes. I don't think I can last in a long sleeve, long dress, black for the whole day, especially if I'm getting there early to get the books set up.
Mhm.
I wish they would tell us when the costume contest is, so I
Yeah,
I'm
we don't have that schedule yet.
I'm guessing it would be in the evening, but that's what who
hope
knows?
not.
Who knows?
But like in the afternoons, from what I can remember.
Oh,
But
really?
who knows? You know, who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah. I'm coming as Count Patofi.
Yay! That'll be fun.
Um, yeah, I'm like Samantha. I don't know how to sew. I don't have a sewing machine, but I know how to use a needle and thread. Uh,
Mm,
I had a friend who did cross stitch and embroidery, and I picked it up, and it's very relaxing, and it's just drawing with colored thread,
Yeah.
and so I made a long coat by thrifting, and I got two jackets and cut one in half to make the nice long coat. And I found a woman's fur coat and trimmed off the fur collar for it for the jacket. And then
Yeah.
I have lots of costumes. I used to do musical theater, so I love costumes, and I saw how they used to thrift them, and it's like, oh, this cheap thing out of the thrift store is our costume, and so I have a white wig, and I just painted it gray, it's a curly wig, and then I had to come up with a way of making a beard that only goes under the chin, and then I have glasses, and then I made a glove. I had it made a glove by hand out of skin colored material, and he has that ugly hand so I had to draw veins on it and make it look ugly.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah,
then,
you're
and then
burning up.
I couldn't find a red ring. I said, where am I going to find a red ring gold? So I had to make one out of material. And so, yeah, I think I've got, oh, and black gloves. Well, one black glove and the other one is the hand. So,
Mhm.
and so hopefully, yeah, I'm sure it's going to be 1,000 degrees, but the hotel will be air conditioned. So,
I,
and, and yeah, I'm going to be wearing long black pants anyway, so all the day, and I want to look somewhat decent for the lunch. So a nice
Right.
collared white long sleeve t-shirt. Oh, that I can just button up and put a black bow tie on, and there I am, Kalpatofi. So yeah, that was fun.
well, you are my date for the day.
That's right. That's
So you
right.
can use my wagon. We can put the big trench coat in there and just
Yeah, well, I was going to take
put the wagon.
I call it my Mary Poppins bag. That's going
Mhm.
to have all what I need for that day because I was going to spend the night Thursday. Um,
You mean
no,
Friday?
I was going to spend the night Friday night. I was going to arrive Friday when it started and to see all because it seemed like they were going to have some rare videos and things like that. But, um, but I'm leaving on Monday for a cruise in Europe, Spain, and so I'm leaving on that Monday. And it was kind of iffy if I was going to be able to attend or not. But it's like, oh, I don't want to spend the extra $300 for a hotel room for the night, and so I'm just going to drive over on Saturday morning and stay there the whole day. And then when the costume contest is done, or, drive all the way back home because then we got to pick up the rental car and then drive back to LAX and stay at the same hotel, and it's like, yeah, because I'm taking my own car and we're going to take a rental car. And so it's like, I can't leave my car there for 2 weeks. It's just too difficult. So that's why on Sunday we have to pick up a rental car, come back to LAX, then stay in the night, and then Monday leave for Europe. And
Well, I'm glad you decided to go because at first you weren't gonna go.
I wasn't going to go because
And
I
I'm
was
like, this is
afraid
your
that's too
last. This is
close to
it. This
my
is it,
trip.
man.
And I'm a nervous wreck when I'm leaving on a huge vacation like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I says, well, it'll be worth it. It'll be the last one, they keep saying. So,
Yeah.
and it's a whole different experience because every time I went, I never spoke to anybody except for the celebrities there that were signing autographs and what have you. So now this time it'll be nice to actually know people there.
Yeah, and you have a date.
Yes. Exactly.
So what day are you coming in, Samantha? What day are you going to be staying?
Oh, just Saturday.
Oh, just
It's only like an hour drive from where I live. And we're all three of us are Southern Californians, so
Mhm.
Right. I live in the Palm Springs area, Coachella Valley, in La
Okay, so you're
Quinta.
not far from me then.
Yeah, I live in La Quinta, and it's a 2 hour almost 2 hour and a half drive because the airport's another 30 minutes. But yeah, I love to eat, and
Huh.
there's I miss my own stomping grounds in Los Angeles. There's restaurants there. We don't have a Yoshinoya out in the Coachella Valley.
Mhm.
I miss that. Anyway,
Well, I was going to say, Samantha, if you were coming out before Saturday, you can, I'll hang on to the books for you because I'll be staying there since Thursday night. But if you're only coming in Saturday, then you can get them set up Saturday. So
yeah, I was gonna get there early Saturday. I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna have to talk to Jim what time he's expecting to be there. Yeah, we'll see. We
I,
get
w- I was kind of wondering, where they have the merchants, their one little banquet room where you can go and buy things. Usually they have tables where you could lay things out, but I always thought you had to rent those tables out if you were gonna, they just don't set up tables and you could just go sit there and set things up. I thought perhaps you had to arrange that with the festival. Can I sell materials or photos or what have you there?
yeah.
I wonder how that works.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm handing everything off to the KPI
Yeah, yeah.
table.
Good, good, good. Well, like I said, it's a sanctioned, official Dark Shadows item that you're selling too. So,
Right.
you know,
Mhm.
It's got the stamp of approval.
exactly, exactly.
That's very cool. You know how freaking cool that is?
I know, and it's so hard to believe because, like, again, everybody else in my everyday life don't know what the heck it is,
Mhm.
but at least I know I've left a mark, and left something for the future generations to have and to play with.
Oh yeah, definitely. I was talking to my manager at work because she really only knows the Tim Burton movie, and I was telling her, I said, yeah, we have so much really cool merch now. We've got they've got Dark Shadows paper dolls. She was like, really? They have Dark Shadows paper dolls? That's really cool. And I think that's one thing like a lot of people don't really kind of think of anymore. Is like, yeah, they still make paper dolls and people still buy paper dolls and they like to play with paper dolls, it's a thing.
Exactly. I mean, one TV series I watch is the Bridgerton series, and their costumes are out of this world. It's a whole fantasy land thing too. And it's like, I don't know if they have coloring books or,
Oh, they do. They have
and
coloring
yeah,
books, and they have
yeah,
paper
yeah,
dolls.
they
It's
should.
so
I mean,
funny.
that thing is just, and so, I'm glad Dark Shadows is in there.
Yeah.
Very cool. So the 1840 and 1841 that's coming out in September. What else have you got planned to come out after that? I
After
mean,
that will be parallel time,
mhm.
and then we will figure out what we want to do with the modern timeline. If we want to break it up into more than one book, or make just one really big one. We'll see. See if we have enough content from more than, because you have to have a certain amount of pages
Mhm.
to do the print on demand. I think it was like 78 pages, and that's front and back. So that's like 30 something pages, pieces of paper. But yeah, I have a huge backlog of pictures. The color, he keeps churning them out.
It's so funny. It's like, okay, here are the final drawings for, parallel time, and then we'll be done with, or 1840, and we're done. And then I'll get an email in the middle of the night, and or a messenger, have you done one for so and so? We haven't mentioned her. It's like, oh, okay. And so I'll whip up a poem. Here you go. Okay, and so it's so funny and cool. And before it would take me some time to think of a poem to go with a certain character, as I has to marinate in my mind. It usually happens while I'm in bed, and
Mhm.
it's the room is dark, and it's like, oh darn it, there's an idea, get up and print it, and then good, then go back to bed, But I can come up with them in like 10 minutes now,
It's a very impressive. Very.
It's funny. It's like, where does this come from?
I'll throw something at him, and I'll be like, "Do something that rhymes with this and this," and then he just like blows my mind away. I'm like, I could never do that.
It makes me laugh. And then I'll reread some of them, and I don't even remember writing them. Some of them in the book. I was like, oh my God, that's pretty good. It's like, and it's just, and I don't even like poetry, which is the funniest thing. I just don't like poetry. I'm not that literary where, oh, I've got to have a book of, poems from the turn of the century. No, no, um, it's just funny. It's just your characters and your people, and it's like I've always wanted to be a songwriter, but I have nothing to sing about or write about. I'm
You
not
can,
unhappy. I'm not, it's like, what am I going to write about? There's too many clever lyrics out there. I'm no Taylor Swift, and,
Okay,
and then for Dark Shadows, no problem. Here it all comes.
right. I have one right here. Here's the last one we just did at 6:02 p.m. on June 24th. One more modern timeline guy. Know you love him, Harry Johnson. You can make fun of this lazy lackey, and then 22 minutes later, he comes up with a full poem, and it is the most fun. And he's like, "Oh, what I am forced to do under duress," and then he comes out with this great stuff.
Because Harry Johnson, I'm sorry. You know, we all have our favorite actors and our least favorite actors and what have you. Harry Johnson's character is just not one of my
That's
favorite
part of the
actors. It's
job.
like,
You have to
oh,
live
please don't make me write a poem about
do
him.
it.
I was hoping she wouldn't remember him, and she did. And
Oh
so
gosh, no. And then the drawing you did for him is perfect.
I know that one made me laugh. I said, if she doesn't like this, I don't know what she will like. I said,
You know what? I'm going to send it to you, Catherine. Let's see. How do I do that? It's too funny. It looks just like him. There, I sent it to you. Doesn't that look just like him?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's great.
Get those lazy eyes and the sideburns. It's perfect.
Great. I'm gonna have to like try to like insert that when I do the editing so everybody can see that, because that is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just wait till you see what she does with it afterwards. You know, it's just remarkable. Just remarkable. I just love her
Gonna
stuff.
have to wait. Harry's gonna have to wait.
Yes, yes, yes.
Now, do you have a favorite character that you really enjoyed drawing and writing about?
Hmm.
You did a lot for
What?
Nicholas. You did a
What?
lot. You did a lot for Nicholas that one time. Like you were just obsessed. You were doing a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I just love his look. It's like
Mhm.
he's very suave. He's all in gray. He's got gray gloves. His sideburns are even pointed on the side, and he's got that widow's peak at the top. You know, if that doesn't look even, and it's just only Dark Shadows would make evil be very enticing and tempting, and he's handsome as a devil, cool, well spoken, and he's just, you know, you wouldn't think that of him, and it's just, you know, all the monsters are always handsome or beautiful on that show, you know, which is, you know, the beauty of evil, I guess. I don't know. It's just wild. But and you know, Roxanne is another favorite of mine. I just love that she's beautiful and as a vampire, and they hardly ever used her. And I just love her in 1840 with those cute little curls just piled on top of her head. It's like
Very
she's
cute.
got a short shag, you know, and she's in a time period where they all have to have long, luscious hair. And the way they solved her, they're putting a whole bunch of curls on her head, and it just looks so cute. You know, she's just, I love her chin and her nose. You know, it's just she's just adorable. And
Cute.
and I don't know, it was like, you know, if they do another Josette thing again, it's like, oh my God, you know, not again, not again, not again. But so yeah, I kind of like they, you know, I'm just sorry that she didn't run with the part. She could have done so much more with it, I think, as an actress. But I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna fault any of the actors and their abilities. You know, they were all young, they were all starting out, and you know, it's a you know it's an art form where you have to develop and grow, you know, and a lot of them, you know, their acting abilities were all over the place, but a lot of them were just starting out, you know, and some of them were very accomplished actors, you know, it's just amazing. But you know, you can't always bat 1,000, you know. Sometimes, I mean, I love Nancy Barrett. She
Mhm.
always, I mean, she was given the regular old, you know, her first part as Carolyn, is, you know, just a spoiled little rich girl, but she added so much depth to that character. She just went all over the place, and she was just not a cardboard character, that spoiled little rich girl. You know, she really had depths to her, and you know, her other parts that she took. I think one of my favorite characters is when she's Carolyn in Parallel Time. She has a real low, husky voice, and her hair is all blown out, and like Farrah Fawcett, and she's a real woman of the world, you know, and if we're not the sweet innocent thing, you know, that's she. And it was just amazing those little subtle ways she did that character, you know, and yeah, I really loved her as an actress, you know, and oh, there I could just go on for days talking about all their acting abilities and.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you think about it, there really wasn't much of a dud out there. There was maybe, I don't know, I guess.
They were the one that was hard for me to like was Jeb, the character of Jeb.
Mm-hmm.
But you should have known he was going to grow up to be a, because he was just such a brat, and I guess I don't like bully brats, and that's what his character was, you know. Um, but you know, you got the indication that's what he was going to be. Well, from all those kids were spoiled little monsters, and so he grew up to be, you know, a 20-year-old monster. You know that I don't know how Carolyn ever fell for him, but you know, that's the way it is. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, now, do you guys have any plans to do books for the Two Dark Shadows movies, or House of Dark Shadows and Night of Dark Shadows? Because especially with like Night of Dark Shadows, I think that would be interesting because, you know, we never got the full film. You know, so much was cut out of it.
Mm.
Might be kind of interesting to do a take on that. You know, some of the that were taken out, and you know, do poems for that. And
I know George was you were interested in doing some different art styles. That could be something to explore. Because I know you wanted to do some more of the Ed Gorey, elongated type. There's always the possibilities. There's plenty to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to try that on, and then I really was pleased with the way it came out. You know, sometimes you draw things and it just surprises you. It's, oh, that's pretty neat, you know, and I really enjoyed it. And you know, it's wonderful being retired because you have all this free time to draw all day if you want to, you know. Oh, where did the day go? Type of thing. Time for a nap, you know, but yeah, God, I love House of Dark Shadows.
Mm-hmm.
That Marilyn Ross novelization of that movie is so darn good. You know, it really, really, really is so good. It's so good. Night of Dark Shadows, like I said, I think it was going to be called Curse of Dark Shadows. And I think what the originally was going to do is going to be a retelling of the 1795, except it would have been 1810, of how Barnabas became a vampire because they killed everybody in the House of Dark Shadows. So they said, "Oh, just come back, you know, and you get to play Barnabas' mother and, you know, his father." And of course, I don't know who would have played Jeremiah, whether they would have used Quentin or Gerard as probably, you know, and I don't know whether Kate Jackson would probably have played Josette, because I think, you know, Kathleen Lee Scott already had left.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's always, and yeah, it's rather interesting how that would have turned out. But Night of Dark Shadows, you know, they did keep the 1810 and, you know, some of the things to the past, and they had the Angelique. But I that's a hard picture for me to like. It's not really my favorite. But but yeah, I would love to see you know, they said it's a better film. And I did buy the book that has a script of the Night of Dark Shadows of all the missing scenes, you know, and so it's rather nice to see that. And in the script, in an article I read, they were talking about the Night of Dark Shadows, and that there was he has Charles Collins in the past has a horse called Doubloon. Doubloon. the pirate coin, and the horse is featured a lot in it. He has a painting where he's with the horse tramples the reverend, and uh, when Gabriel locks him up in the tomb with Angelique, he says, "Go shoot doubloon," kill his favorite horse, and it was just a lot of things, and they took a lot of that out of the movie, as well as that would have built more character into Charles. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's rather interesting.
Allergies. My allergies have been so bad. And it's so hot today, and I've got the fan going. So what are some other things that you think you might want to maybe kind of dabble with, or maybe have some ideas for? Anything at the moment?
I was I did like the idea of somebody in the Dark Shadows Appreciation Society. There was an artist that did the Hanna-Barbera version cartoon of the Dark Shadow characters, and I thought that was really, really sweet. I thought, oh, that is so cute, I said, because being a child, I grew up watching all those cartoons in the early 70s, and so I thought, oh, but there's so many more characters, and so one of the things I wanted, this is just for my own private enjoyment, was to do okay, he hasn't done Gabriel yet. He hasn't done this character or this character or this character. So I'd like to study that style. It's really quite easy, and see if I could come up with some characters like that he's, overlooked type of thing. That was quite interesting. And but yes, I don't know. I don't know what else would come next.
What do you both think of the news that just came out about a Dark Shadows animated series? How do you feel about that?
I'm excited. I really hope. Well, I guess it's supposed to be set in today's time, so I don't know. I'm not getting my hopes up. I really wanted it to look like the Hanna-Barbera cartoon, but I don't think that's what they're going to go for. I think they're going to go for something more dark and gritty. Because it's Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers is with HBO, and their cartoons are dark.
Yes, that the Warner Brothers, they've brought so much life to the Batman animated series, and their artwork is just really, really, really dark, and it's really neat, and they do a really quality job. So if you're going to have someone that's going to do the cartoon, I think Warner Brothers will be perfect for it. They'll really get the dark, and they'll really get the creepiness, and you could do a whole lot in animation as far as the special effects go, and the monsters, so it'll be a matter of design, and hopefully before we'll be able to see some of the sketches and some of the designs before the cartoon actually comes out, hopefully, and and as and as long as the people are doing it, it doesn't really matter when they're going to set it. But I'll look and see. I'll wait and see. I always liked all the iterations of Dark Shadows. That nothing will ever be like the original, but you could still enjoy it. I mean, when they came out with the 1991 series, so I was there every night watching it, and it's like, it's not Jonathan Fritz. Well, it can't possibly be, because they're all too darn old. And at that time has come and gone. Here, let's just see how they do it and how they reinterpret it and what they change, and enjoy it, and that's what I did. That also broke my heart when that one was canceled, with the Desert Storm happening during that time.
I wonder if the new animation is going to be tied to the Tim Burton movie, because that's Warner Brothers also.
Oh, is it?
They could easily be, they get the same style, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
I don't know, because the thing that I saw that had come out about it was it said based on the original TV show. So
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, when they always talk about continuing the storyline or updating it to 2026, it's like, well, the last time we saw them was 1971. I says we're talking a whole bunch of years. And Carolyn is going to be as old as Joan Bennett is, or in her 60s or 70s, and she's going to have children and a husband and grandchildren already that are, and so it's and all these new characters and yeah, and it's like, what are you going to do about Julia? We need a Julia character and some of the most beloved ones. So I would more or less like them to continue, from perhaps 1970. And the voices doesn't matter to me, but having the same characters, and just continue on. That way you could still have Barnabas and what have you.
What would you think of the idea of possibly using some of the actors from the show as voice actors in the animated series? Perhaps not as the same character, but maybe if Scott playing Elizabeth Stoddard or
Oh, they would have to. Yes, definitely, definitely. Yeah, so there's a lot of good voice actors out there. So,
Oh, in the meantime, we'll just work on our books because by the time that comes out, I will probably be done by then.
well, who knows? Maybe by then your books will really take off, and they'll want to base the animated series on your books on that character. Who's
yes, yes. I know they have. I remember there was another artist who had submitted a comic book to the Dan Curtis Productions, hoping that they would pick it up, but they did not. And then, of course, the recent one that just came out, I didn't buy it. I don't know why, but that was, what do they call it when they GoFundMe, was it that they raised money to have it?
Kickstarter or something.
Yeah, the Kickstarter, there it was. Yeah, and I heard mixed reviews on it, so I didn't buy it. I don't know why. Usually I would. And I don't know, I may pick it up if it's for sale at the convention. I may pick it up out of curiosity, but yeah, they said it was like a graphic novel and that it would be, if it was successful, they'd come out with another one. It'd be a series, but it takes so long for that to come out and to draw it. Whereas the animation series, I think, should probably come out a lot sooner because you don't have to build sets or hire actors, do costumes. You're just drawing it and paying the actors to come in and do the voices. So, that should be pretty quick to come out with a season. So I'm looking forward to that. What is it? The Emmy Awards nominations were announced today, and that Widow's Bay, which people have been saying it's very reminiscent of Dark Shadows. It's a little bit humorous, but it's a mystery set in a little seacoast town with and it got a lot of Emmy nominations, so it's going to get probably more word of mouth and more attention. So that may bode well for anything with Dark Shadows. Oh, look at the mysteries coming out, and people are still wanting that. So we'll see how that develops.
yeah. I need to see that. I've heard about it, but I don't have the platform that it's on, so I have
Right. I haven't seen it either. I did look it up on the internet and see what each episode was about, and it seemed kind of interesting, supernatural and base. But there are so many good series that are like that. It's just amazing. It's a really rich time for these streaming shows that are out now.
What did you think of the Dark Shadows audio dramas that came out? Did you get to hear any of those?
When they first came out, I bought one or two of them, on a CD, but I never listened to it. I kept it for the longest time. And I think it's because I'm a visual person. I'd rather read or see something, and just hearing voices talk
Mhm.
really bothers me. It's like I get too distracted. It's like I can't concentrate on what they're saying. I need to see it. It's like being blind, I suppose, and it really bothers me. So I haven't. Now, if it came out with them in a book version, boy, I would be right on it. It's like, why doesn't somebody transcribe that and write it in a book form and put them out? Then I would buy them up. And
Well, there has to be somewhere. I would think there's a transcript or something.
right, right. But yes, there's an awful lot of them. I'm not really sure if it's one um, production company that's doing them or whether there are two.
It's the Big Finish
Big
company
Finish, right?
that
Is there another one, or are they doing all of them? Because there's a whole lot of them.
they're doing all of them, and they're actually coming out finally with the Vengeance at Collinwood, which was actually performed live at one of the conventions.
Oh, uh-huh.
It, and Jerry Lacey was brilliant in it because
Mm.
like Tony Peterson, who was being possessed by Trask, and he was like going like back and forth, and it was amazing. I mean, we were loving it, and we were so bummed that they never did anything with it. They didn't release it. You couldn't videotape it, so only those of us who were there, like
Wow.
and now to hear that they're putting it out on CD, and so it's coming out, and I've already pre-ordered it. As soon as I saw that announcement, I was like, oh, I'm getting this. I don't care if it's $75 or whatever it is.
Right.
I put in the pre-order because I mean that memory of seeing them do that live
Mm.
was just incredible, and it was always so upsetting that it's like I could never go back and see that again, because they didn't record it, and so it's like, okay, now we get to hear that again, we get to relive that, and that was a fabulous performance, so I'm so excited for that.
How long ago was
Yeah.
that?
That was 2000 and I want to say 2005. I think it was 2005. I believe it was one of the California festivals because I think the year before they had done Return to Collinwood, which was the one that was written by Jamison Selby, David Selby's son, and I think that was 2003 or 2004. I think it was 2004.
Mm.
So I think this one, it must have been like 2005, which I think was out here in California, if I remember correctly. Tarrytown, LA, Brooklyn. I think Brooklyn was 2006. So I think it was I think it was Hollywood in 2005, I think, or Burbank, something like that.
Yeah.
But it was wonderful. It was so wonderful to see. And that's the main memory I have is just Jerry Lacey just like turning on a dime, just back and forth. And I mean, arguing with himself. And I mean, it was just, oh, it was fabulous.
Very cool. I'm cutting out paper dolls right now. I'm cutting out Amanda.
Multitasking.
Yeah.
I was at a convention once where they had Marie Wallace, and I think the actor that played Adam, and they enacted a scene from a script that was tossed, and they replaced it with another one, and they performed it live. And I thought that was wonderful. It was just, I mean, that's what you love about that day-to-day program. There are some episodes where some of the conversations they're having are just so, in the moment type of thing. I remember seeing one with Maggie. I think it was in 1968, and she's at her house, Sam Evans cottage, and she's just talking about the foreboding that she has and how she's worried about this or that. And it had nothing to move the storyline, but the acting in it and the emotion on it was just a quiet, wonderful scene. And it was, the plotting would move around along, and what have you, but it was really, really neat. And one thing I do remember, as I said, I was watching the show when I was a child, running home from the school, to catch it. And I never, ever saw any of the flubs or the forgotten lines or looking for the teleprompter, because back then, I was just so enraptured with the story and wondering what was going to happen next, and who could Melanie's mother be? I wonder who it is, and type of thing. And you were just drawn in and carried away with the story, and as it enveloped, and it was just really, really something. And everything just worked magically. And and that's what it's like when you go to theater. You might have, the set might just be a scaffolding and stairs, and the actors are working, and they transport you. It's you buy into it, and it's the same thing with with Dark Shadows. And when people complain, oh, the tombstones that are falling over those fake trees, or they close the door and the walls shake. It's like, that's
My favorite
theater.
part.
You're supposed to go with it and accept it. And they're actors, and look over that and continue with the story. Oh, but that doesn't make sense. You look at back, and that doesn't make logical sense. And it's like, forget all that. You're supposed to be taking the story as it is, and enjoy it. Like, don't nitpick it. That's what you do to movies nowadays. But even
Mhm.
movies nowadays with their special effects, they're just, I just think it's just as I'm getting older, I have less patience with bad movies and beautiful movies that with special effects, and they're just, I would never see that movie again. I saw it once and that's enough. I'll never need to see it again. And so it's just rather interesting. That's why that show just goes on forever for me.
Now, one of the most exciting things that I've heard about the event coming up is that the actors are going to be doing some sort of performance on the stage, that they're going to be reading. I believe that they're going to be reading, I don't know if it's scripts from the show, and some of them will be different characters than the ones that they played, or something like that.
Ooh.
Ray had said something about it the other day, and I got so excited, and I was just like, that I didn't really hear everything he said, because I was just like, oh, that's gotta be awesome. But that's one thing I think is going to be really exciting to see, because they're all such great actors, and I'm very curious to see how they're going to do it and what exactly they're going to do.
Yeah, yes. What's so unique is that they had the best of everything for a little daytime show. The lighting was superb. The costumes were beautiful. The actors were great looking and were talented Broadway actors, Shakespearean actors, it's just really fascinating to see them, and they're at the top of their game. Their writing, I thought was remarkable and imaginative. It's like they're writing themselves into a corner, but oh no, they're not, type of thing. And I thought it was very imaginative and creative, some of the storylines. I mean that Laura character, it's like, where on earth did that come? And that's truly a horrendous, horrendous, character and storyline arc. It was really, really, really something where the audiences can figure out. Everyone is wondering, oh, I wonder what this means. I wonder what that means. Oh, look at that painting, and David's in the fire, and it's like, and the audience can guess where this is going, and it's like, you want to pound on the screen, save that little boy and keep him away from her. And it's just fascinating. And the
What
parallel time room, and and the I Ching, and yeah, it was kind of fun. I made my own little I Ching wands, and I bought a book on I Ching, how you read them. I bought my own thing of tarot cards once so that I could look at them. I even had a Leviathan box that they're carved. You get them in Mexico, they're carved wooden boxes, and they were easy to get. And yeah, it's just so much fun. My love for antique furniture came from there, from the 1897 period. And yeah, it's lovely.
what do you think was the most unexpected plot twist on the show? The one that really just you did not see coming?
Ooh,
I got one.
Yeah, what would yours be?
Mine was when turned out Jenny was Quentin's wife and not Edward's. I
Mm-hmm.
was convinced that that was Edward's wife. And not only, oh, that was, I didn't see that coming. Loved it.
That
Oh,
was,
it's what I liked, but a plot twist, I guess was gradual, was when you enter 1840, Samantha is the poor heroine, that Gabriel just keeps harping on, and she's the sweetest thing. And then midway through the series, oh no, we're going to make you a villain, and it was like, oh, that's interesting. I thought that was pretty clever. I know, Samantha's not Samantha's favorite character, but I just love her character. It's
I
like,
love her.
I said, I love her hairstyle. She was one of this is, they all have, I hate it when you're watching, not Dark Shadows, but any movie from the 1960s or 70s that they made that's supposed to be a period piece, and everybody is wearing their 1970s hair or their 1968 hair. And with Dark Shadows, Samantha went with an 1840 hairstyle, and it wasn't attractive on her. She's a beautiful woman, but it wasn't attractive on her. But yet, it fit.
Mhm.
And,
Yeah,
but yeah, I just love that character.
Mhm. Yeah, I think some of the really great plot twists you talk about with Jenny in 1897, the fact that Magda was her sister. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
didn't see coming. That was like, what?
Right?
Mhm.
And I loved how Quentin always got all these great lines. If I knew you were a gypsy, I would have loved you better. Or it's like, I would have made you more interesting. It's like, gosh, he always has the right thing to say.
Mhm.
But yeah, they were having a grand old time with 1897. Yeah, that was.
Great. Good times.
Yeah. One thing I wish that they had done was bring back Count Petofi somehow, some way, because his end at the end of 1897 was so ambiguous. They only found the glasses and all these unanswered questions. Is he dead? Is he still out there? Wandering around? Did he jump somebody else's body? Did he go forward in time? Where did he go? What happened to him? That would.
They probably do that on purpose, just in case later down the line, let's bring him back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, they brought back Nicholas Blair, so
Yep.
been interesting to bring back.
Yeah. I love finding fan fiction and how they continued. I think there was one where they had Count Petofi come back into the modern day, and he was actually a Leviathan. That he was actually just a serpent and all kinds of just a
Mhm.
creature of which is why he was always with that wig and mustache and hiding. And
There is an audio drama. It's called the Blind Artist, I think is what it's called, and it's with Roger Davis. He reprises his role as Charles Delaware Tate, and he tells the story of how he met Count Petofi, and it's a really good one. You should listen. It's on Spotify.
I haven't heard that one. I'll have to listen to
Yeah,
that.
it's called The Blind Painter. And then they have one called The Dollhouse, and it's about Jenny, and it's Jenny and Beth, and they're reprising, the original actresses are reprising their roles. And it's all about how Jenny lost her mind. And that one was so good.
That one I've been wanting to get actually, and then I always forget when they have a sale at Big
It's on
Fit.
Spotify, and it's free to listen to.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out on Spotify.
Yeah.
I use it, but I think I haven't.
but when I was going, and there was fandom, there were fanzines in the 70s and 80s, and there was some little fan fiction. I remember someone writing a story about Quentin and Magda meeting later and traveling the world, and they were on the Titanic, I believe. And it's like, oh, he's going to survive because you can't kill Quentin, with this portrait. And so and then there was another fan fiction where it takes place in 1870, I think. And Victoria Winters is an old woman, and she comes back to Collinwood, and she's a mystery woman of who is this woman and why is she back type of thing, and yeah, it was kind of interesting. I read another fan fiction where Carolyn goes up the staircase through time to 1795, and that's where she meets Jeb, and she falls in love with him. And he says, "Who is this girl that's following me?" She pretends she's Millicent because she looks, and she reunites with Vicky, and what happens is that Jeb gets Peter Bradford because he's a lawyer, and he becomes a Leviathan by looking into the box, and so he, and then I believe Quentin goes back to help them and through time, and he becomes a werewolf because it's before the painting, and so he tries, does all kinds of havoc, and and then Jeb is really thunderstruck that Carolyn is in love with him, and even knowing he's a monster and whatever, and she's devoted to him, and so when her and Vicky eventually return to regular time, and she brings Vicky back, and the things happen as they're supposed to. And so that when Jeb comes back, that's why he's attracted to Carolyn, because she had gone back in time and he had met her, and she doesn't remember meeting him by the time in 1970, when he comes. So I thought that was kind of interesting, but there's just so many, and that's what I do when I go to sleep at night. Okay, I'm going to make there was also a fan fiction story that combined House of Dark Shadows directly with Night of Dark Shadows, where they send Tracy back in time to fix events so that Angelique isn't hanged as a witch, so she doesn't come back. And she goes and she opens up the coffin and opens up and brings Barnabas back into the picture in 1810. And so he fights, Angelique, and convinces her to be a good girl. And Laura turns out to be the Flora the Phoenix that we never quite saw in Night of Dark Shadows. She was just a bad wife. And so that was kind of interesting too, And so, wouldn't that be interesting to then have Tracy come back and, everything is fixed and Barnabas hasn't become a monster because while she's in the past, she could tell him, this is what you did to everybody in the family. Please don't do it when you wake up in 1970. And so you continue with the story with cousin Quentin and Tracy and Barnabas, and everybody's still alive, Go forward in that timeline. I thought it was so. Whenever I'm going to bed at night, I'm always making up stories of what's happening, as with Tracy and Barnabas as they're trying to change the history. But that shows you the world building that they did for Dark Shadows. It's just so rich, and it's no wonder the fandom is as good. It seems like a real place. I mean, you've been over to the Seaview Terrace. That's the holy grail for me. I'd love to get back east someday just to go and visit that area, where the Newport area, and see that. But yeah, I've never attended any of the East Coast. That's just a little bit too out of my way.
Well, it's on the way to Europe.
Yeah, we are staying a couple of nights in Newark before we get on the plane to Europe. But yeah, no.
Maybe one day when you're traveling and passing through, take a day to go to New York and go to Tarrytown and.
Yeah, I have been to New York twice. My
Mhm.
recent trip there was we did a Christmas in New York, and see the Rockettes spectacular, and just enjoy Christmas, and that was fun. That was fun, and see Broadway shows and the whole thing, tourist thing. But yeah, I'd like to get to the Newport area.
I think you'll like it. It's nice. I've been to the wharf where the building that was the Blue Whale, which is a restaurant. I've had lunch there, and that's very nice. And it's a lovely place, lovely, downtown. And
Oh, I bet. Yes, I've been to Cape Cod, and in Massachusetts, and those sea towns and the sea shacks, the seafood there. It really is lovely. So I imagine. I said, this is what Collinsport must look like. Yeah, yeah.
Now, if using your writer's mind, what would you have done with the show if it had gone on after 1841? What do you think you would have liked to have seen?
You know what always bothered me was what did he exactly inject those James Forsythe and
And Amanda.
Amanda with? And it's like once the ghost was gone, was whatever spell or hold he held them, did they wake up? Were they vampires? Because, the fact that Melanie was attacked by a vampire, it's like there's a vampire out there. Was it either Amanda or James? Quentin was gone. Did Quentin go get help? And was he attacked by a vampire and came back and attacked Melanie because he was thirsty? That would have been a nice story because we never saw David Selby as a vampire. I would have liked to have seen that, and another one is, Kate Jackson died quite, Daphne died quite suddenly. Maybe she was a victim of a vampire, but nobody picked up on it. Maybe she's the one who's come back from the dead and is out. So, I was expecting, when at the end is, oh boy, next week is going to be a vampire, hot diggity doggy, and no, it was over. So, but no, people said, oh, we didn't get an ending. I said, yes, you did get an ending. Dark Shadows ended with Julia, and Barnabas and Professor Stokes coming back. Everything was fixed. We're going to this historical center, happy ever after, and what we got was an extra. You got an extra 3-4 months of a show as a goodbye, And so, that's your happy ending. Dark Shadows had its happy ending. And after they fixed everything, it was just a boring show after that. It would have just been everyone's happy, no more ghosts. Barnabas is not a vampire. Everyone go on with your life, get married, have kids. Nothing else is going to happen, And so that was it. And so time for something new. But yeah, that's what I would have liked to seen in 1841. But yeah, it's David's story of whatever became of him. It's just open to all kinds of things, And Carolyn would naturally would have taken over the canning business, even though she wasn't. But she could step in and do that. So that's what I think. And whoever she married and the kids she had, and yeah, I would have liked to have seen Barnabas return to a vampire again. And I remember somebody saying what they should have done with the character of Julia is that they should have killed her off and introduced another person who would be his sidekick. And and it's like, she will die eventually, but he would probably have another person, but unless I don't know how you keep her alive, but that's why I said you've got to keep the show stuck in the 70s so that you can see the natural progression, of David growing up and Carolyn, and that's what if you wanted to see. I don't care if they're different actors, of course, but that's how you would continue the story. And heaven knows if it would ever catch up to 1990 or 80, it would. But yeah, that's what I would like to see. Jumping to 2026 is just too big of a jump from where we left off,
What do you think, Samantha?
What was the question?
So, what would you have liked to have seen, at the end of 1840, and where would you have liked them to have taken the show after that?
I wanted at some point Vicky to come back or pick up that story, like somebody looking for her or something. And of course, I wanted Robert Rodin to come back in some form.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm satisfied with the audio dramas. They pick up a little bit about what's happened next and where everybody's at. The great thing about the whole time travel aspect is the story never has to be over.
That's true.
You can always go back in time and redo it.
Hmm. I mean, they went back to 1795. I don't know how many times, or 1790 technically.
And we never actually saw 1870. 1870 would have been a time where you get to see Judith and Quentin's parents, what happened, and Edith would have been about 50 or 60 by then, and what tragedy befell that all her kids were killed and just the grandchildren were left, and
Yeah, there's so much.
and yeah, and I always think that's Dark Shadows, the comic book. They had one story with a mummy because I love mummies, and they had one story where someone in Egypt is trying to revive the mummy, and nothing happens, and he opens up the coffin, and it's a Collins ancestor, and the mummy comes to life in the coffin in the tomb, where the bodies were switched, and so there's a mummy. And so it's like, oh, one of the Collins, one of the sons of Edith could have been an, Egyptologist and brought back a mummy, and it's in the tomb somewhere, and they could have done that. And, Edith could have been practicing witchcraft and woken something up that killed everybody, some tragedy. And, they could have shown a lot of 1870, and maybe, showing how Edith, he was tired of Quentin being in charge of everything and got rid of him and Daphne and Tad. I don't know, but there's some juicy stories that could have been told in 1870 something.
Would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I should probably let you two go because it's getting kind of late, and I know you've got a lot to do, Samantha. You're cutting out your paper dolls and getting things ready, and I'm hot. It was so hot here, so, and I'm under this fan, but I may go park myself under another fan with my dog because she's hot too. So I think I will let you guys go, but I definitely want to have you back, and I certainly want to have you guys back to talk about like costumes and things like that. My friend Angela does a lot of cosplay, and so like I want to have her on. I told her we're going to do an episode all about costumes. I'd like to do that at some point. I don't know when, but I think that would be fun.
Okay. Well, I'll send you that video I'm working on of the progression, and you can add it to this.
And I'll probably have this put together sometime tomorrow and get that up soon. Not sure when. It depends on how hot it is tomorrow, but I'll get this up as soon as I can and let you know.
All right. Sounds good.
Well, again, so much for joining me. You have a great night, and I cannot wait for the next book.
You're gonna have to sit tight. Hang in there, kid.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh yeah, yes, you're gonna. It is so beautiful. I mean, Samantha does just some beautiful things. It's just breathtaking. Lovely, lovely, lovely. You'll love it.
You'll love it. There's gonna be a twist.
Yeah, I may have to head over to. You said Redbubble is where there's some merch on Redbubble. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I'll send you the link, and I'll start advertising it more often. I just haven't been. It's been busy. But yeah.
Give me something to advertise for you too, so that'll be good.
All right, guys.
Well, I will talk to you guys later. You have a good night.
You too.
Very good. Thank you. Been wonderful.
Bye, guys.
So long.
I'm clothed in silk and wood smoke, a fever, a dream of eloquence. Black magic I invoke, my charisma is immense. So is something else, my means of defense. I can take care of myself. I don't need Diabolos's interference. I'm a dapper one, a magic man, a warlock, you see. I perform a song and dance on incantation and ceremony. I do it with a flair. My name is Nicholas Blair. Let me introduce you to my villainy. You've no idea of what I am and the magic of me. Sure, he's my master, I must obey the boss, but in the scheme of things my own dreams get lost. I've got my own ambitions and I think, yes, why not? I think my appearance most important to the plot. I'm a dapper one, a magic man, a warlock, you see. I perform a song and dance on incantation and ceremony. I do it with a flair. My name is Nicholas Blair. Let me introduce you to my villainy. You've no idea of what I am and the magic of me. I've a little plan. Some monsters I shall procreate. Why? Because I can. I'm a dastardly reprobate and no one understands. This is just how I operate. I'm a diabolical man. I can sway you to get my way. And I'll do a little thing for me. I'll take a bride in a black mass ceremony. I'm a dapper one, a magic man, a warlock, you see. I perform a song and dance on incantation and ceremony. I do it with a flair. My name is Nicholas Blair. Let me introduce you to my villainy. You've no idea of what I am and the magic of me, of me.
We have such little time now. There's so much to be said. You don't know who you are, much less who I am. When I see you, I think of all the nights we spent. When you see me, you see who you think is a friend. If you only knew what you mean to me, of the deal I made just to be. Why can't you remember me? I've seen Mr. Best. Time is approaching fast. How can I explain? We're both from the past. It was in 1897 we met. This is the last chance I get. If you could just say you love me, why did you have to forget? Now you only know I'm Olivia Corey. Why can't you remember me? It was of you, Quentin, that I thought when I stood on that bridge and jumped. All these years you've held my heart, but you don't even know who you are. I can't tell you, you wouldn't believe if I tried. It's too fantastic how we can
Quentin's women are something to behold. Blondes, brunettes, redheads, beauty twofold. Such a handsome devil, with oodles of charm to spare. A better cad there never was. His women didn't care. A trail of broken hearts he left in his wake. But did his women care? No, they enjoyed themselves for heaven's sake. Our man Quentin, what a life he's led, never to dwell in the land of the dead. How many times can he die? His many enemies, oh, how they've tried. Stabbed, shot, cursed, revived, zombie, ghost. He must have 9 lives. How will his story end? Hard to say, as he lives his life forever again and again and again.
Afraid of storms? There have been worse storms here. Storms that have made people huddle together. Hurricane winds pounding, making unearthly sounds. It seemed as if the winds and the lightning converged. There were storms that drove ships onto the rocks below Widow's Hill. Their great masts snapping, their decks awash with foaming sea, the cries of men being swept overboard, never to be seen again, but forever mourned by their widows. Hear that? Hear the wind? A sorrowful sound, a sound of greed, hopelessness, and despair. There were times when the moaning of the wind could be confused with the cries of the widows as they kept their endless vigils. There was a night such as this, a night when a young, beautiful woman was pressed to her limits. She could no longer accept what the future held for her. She knew she had to destroy herself before she became something she did not want to be. She had quarreled with her lover. She tried to send him away, but he would not be put off. He tried to put his arms around her, but she broke away from him and ran up into the stormy night, her white dress contrasted against the darkness. He ran after her as she ran into the stormy night and up into the precipice of the place that was built for death. Rain drenched her, the winds buffeted her, blowing her long hair wildly. Her small feet were bruised and mud-stained by the cruel, stony pathway to the summit of the cliff. The shouts of her lover were lost in the darkness as he ran swiftly after her. Near the top, she stumbled over a large rock. Crying hysterically, she limped and crawled to the edge of the precipice. Her lover reached her, clutched at her, spinning her around to face him. Her eyes were wide with terror as her lover held her tight, his lips pressed against her throat. Soon she grew limp. He released her. Suddenly, with a last surge of energy, she broke free and hurled herself off the cliff. Her scream reacting and echoing as she plunged downward. Her body was impaled on the large, craggy rocks below. We descended to the bottom of Widow's Hill and found her body broken, lifeless, bloodless, as violent as her death was. The expression on her face was one of serenity, as if this was the best possible ending to her life. It says in the schedule that tomorrow there will be a skit. There will not be a skit tomorrow to give us time to rehearse the skit, and it will be presented on Sunday. That'll be Tiptoe Through the Tombstones is the name of that one.
I want the life he can give me. What would we live on? Your bitterness? No, I'd rather eat in that large house on a cliff by the sea. Our childhood days are long gone. I can't keep waiting for your dreams. We've had our happiness when we were young, when everything was still possible. And I did love you then, yes. Oh yes, I remember it well. You told me I was the fairest thing you ever saw once, and one day we'd have our own service just for us. How the wind whips round and wuthers o'er the house on Widow's Hill. I must marry another, although I love you still. Bramwell, you're a pauper, not a penny to your name. Perhaps one day we'll be together if we can find a way. I know the kind of life I want. I know I'll never find it with you, but while we're here alone in the dark, there's something else we can do. Don't be gentle, frighten me, threaten me. Was it good for you? I beg you, don't be gentle. Here we go for round two. Oh, you know me so well, better than I know myself, and the demons in me are in league with you. But I won't have it, just get out. Every minute I live, I'm yours. Every breath you take is mine. It's not exactly how the story goes, but we're making the best of this storyline. How the wind whips round and wuthers o'er the house on Widow's Hill. I must marry another, although I love you still. Bramwell, you're a pauper, not a penny to your name. Perhaps one day we'll be together if we can find a way.
I had such a great time talking to them. I can't wait for the new book to come out. It's supposed to be out in September, I believe, so that is something to look forward to, as well as other books from the series. If you haven't had a chance to pick up any of the books to read them, I highly recommend them. I think my favorite's 1897. Thanks for joining me, cousins.
The Back Room at the Blue Whale is a Dark Shadows podcast.